My girlfriend said she was pregnant and pressured me into buying a house. She didn't know I had a vasectomy last year. I played along at the baby shower in front of her whole family. I stood up to make a toast. Then I handed her the doctor's report and congratulated the real father standing right beside her. The day my girlfriend Qley told me she was pregnant should have been the happiest day of my life. She stood in the middle of our living room holding one of those little white sticks. Tears of joy streamed down her face. She fell into my arms, sobbing about how she couldn't wait to start our family, how this was a dream come true. I held her, I hugged her back. I told her I was happy. I was a very convincing actor. Because in that moment, my heart wasn't filled with joy. It was a cold, empty void. My mind was a whirlwind of confusion, betrayal, and one undeniable biological fact. That baby was not mine. Here is the secret Qley didn't know. 18 months ago, long before I met her, I had a vasectomy. My previous relationship ended in a messy, traumatic pregnancy scare, and I had made a firm, private decision that I would not bring a child into this world until I was certain I was with the right person in a stable partnership. I had the procedure and 6 weeks later went back for follow-up tests. The results were conclusive. My sperm count was 0. I was, for all intents and purposes, sterile. I hadn't told Qley. Our relationship, while serious, hadn't yet reached the stage of concrete family planning. We had talked about wanting kids someday, but it was always vague and abstract. I planned to tell her eventually. It was a conversation I knew we would have when someday became soon. But her surprise announcement ambushed me. She jumped the gun, and in doing so, she revealed her entire hand. Her tears of joy dried up remarkably quickly, replaced by a steely, practical focus. "We can't raise a baby in this tiny apartment, Ryan," she said, her voice suddenly all business. "We need a house, a real house with a yard. For the baby." And there it was, the motive. The past few months, she'd been obsessed with buying a house, constantly sending me listings for expensive properties far outside our budget. I was the voice of reason, telling her we needed to save more, to wait until we were financially secure. Now, she had a biological trump card. The baby was her leverage, the key to unlocking the suburban luxury life she felt she deserved. The rage I felt was cold and quiet. This wasn't just infidelity. This was a conspiracy, a calculated, premeditated attempt to defraud me, to trap me in a mortgage and 18 years of financial responsibility for a child not mine. My first instinct was to confront her, throw the vasectomy report in her face, and watch her lies crumble. But where was the justice in that? It would be a messy private argument. She'd create a new lie, a new story. She'd claim I was lying, trying to shirk responsibility. No. A betrayal this elaborate deserved a more theatrical conclusion. She wanted to be the glowing, expectant mother. Fine. I'd play the doting, supportive father-to-be. I'd let her build her stage, decorate her set, and invite her entire audience. And when the curtain rose on her big performance, I'd be there to rewrite the ending. I started observing. I became a quiet detective in my own life. I knew the baby had to be conceived about 9 weeks ago. I scrolled back through her social media and calendar. There it was, a work conference in another city, one I now seriously doubted ever happened. In the photos she posted that weekend, one man was a constant presence, her work bestie Ben. He was in every picture, his arm a little too close around her, their smiles a little too intimate. I now had his name. Ben, the likely father. That weekend I told Qley she was right. We needed to be responsible. We needed to find a house for our new family. The look of triumph on her face was sickening. She spent the whole weekend dragging me to open houses. I smiled. I nodded. I asked intelligent questions about property taxes and school districts. I was the perfect image of a committed future father. She had no idea I wasn't just looking at houses. I was gathering intelligence, biding my time, planning the most elaborate, public, and satisfying baby shower anyone had ever seen. Update 1. The past 7 months have been the most surreal and disingenuous period of my life. I became a master of the supportive nod, encouraging smile, and feigned excitement. I played the proud, expectant father role so convincingly, I think I deserve an award. The house hunt became the central focus of our lives. Qley was relentless. Every weekend was a marathon of open houses and meetings with realtors. Her parents got involved, overjoyed at the news of their first grandchild and fully supporting Qley's quest to get me to buy a house. They sent me listings, called for updates, and offered unsolicited financial advice. I politely thanked them while feeling like a character in a strange, slow-moving play. I became an expert at creating believable delays. I was the picture of financial prudence. When they found a perfect house, I'd find the flaws. The inspection report shows potential foundation issues, I'd say gravely. It's too risky for the baby. Or, I spoke to the bank. With current interest rates, we'd be over-leveraged. We need to be smart. I even got pre-approved for a massive mortgage, which sent Qley into fits of joy. It was a simple, reversible process, but to her, it was proof of my commitment. Every move I made reinforced her belief her plan was working perfectly. She thought my caution was just my boring, predictable nature. She had no idea it was a calculated stall. Meanwhile, I was watching her and Ben, the work bestie. He was around more, always under the guise of being supportive. He'd come for dinner, help assemble the baby crib, an act so ironically poetic. He'd pat me on the back, saying, "You're a lucky man, Ryan. She's going to be a great mom." I'd smile and agree, all while wanting to ask if he had any good names picked out. The centerpiece of this grand deception was the baby shower. Qley's mother and sister took charge of planning. It was to be a massive, catered event at her parents' house, with dozens of guests from her family and all our mutual friends. Qley insisted Ben be on the guest list. "He's just been so supportive through all this," she said, eyes shining with fake sincerity. "He's like an uncle to this baby already." Of course, I said, "We have to invite Ben." I even offered to pay half the shower's expenses. I transferred a significant sum to her mother's account. It was an investment. I was funding my own gallows and wanted them perfect. The final piece of my plan was crucial. I called the urologist who performed my vasectomy. I requested a formal notarized letter for my medical records. The letter was simple. It detailed the procedure date, follow-up tests, and a concluding statement signed by the doctor confirming my sperm count was 0 and I was sterile. I received the letter in a sealed envelope a week ago. It's been sitting in the top drawer of my desk ever since. It's a single sheet of paper with more destructive power than a bomb. The baby shower is tomorrow. The house is decorated, the gifts are wrapped, the guests confirmed. Qley is radiant, the perfect picture of a glowing mother-to-be. She believes she's one day away from her grand plan's culmination. She thinks she's about to be celebrated. She has no idea she's about to be exposed. Update 2. The baby shower was by all accounts spectacular. Qley's mother outdid herself. The house and backyard were decorated in tasteful pastel pinks and blues. There were balloons, streamers, a mountain of beautifully wrapped gifts, and a 3-tiered cake with little baby booties on top. It was a perfect Instagrammable fantasy. I arrived with Qley, playing my part. I mingled. I accepted congratulations from her aunts and uncles. I shook hands with her father's business partners. I was the proud, happy father-to-be. I even had a long, painfully pleasant conversation with Ben, the actual father. He was in his element, the charming, supportive friend. He clapped me on the back and told me I was a lucky man. I agreed. The irony was so thick, I felt like I was drowning in it. After an hour of small talk and opening gifts, so many tiny clothes, so many useless gadgets, the moment arrived. Qley's mother, beaming, tapped a glass with a spoon to get everyone's attention. "I want to thank you all for coming to celebrate this beautiful day," she said. "We're all so excited to welcome a new member to our family. Now, I'd like to ask the proud father-to-be, Ryan, to say a few words." A hush fell over the crowd. All eyes turned to me. This was it. Showtime. I stood, champagne glass in hand, warm, practiced smile on my face. Qley looked at me, eyes shining with adoration. She thought she'd be showered with praise. "Thank you, everyone," I began, voice clear and steady. "I'm not much of a public speaker, but this is a special occasion. Today is about celebrating new life. It's about celebrating motherhood. It's about celebrating family." I paused and looked around at all the smiling, expectant faces. "Family," I continued, "is built on trust, honesty, and unconditional love. As I stand here on the verge of starting my own family, I've thought a lot about those principles. I'm incredibly excited for Qley to become a mother. I know she has all the love and support she could ever need right here in this room. I raise my glass and would like to make a toast. But first, I have two very special gifts to share, one for the mother-to-be and one for the man who has been incredibly supportive throughout this journey. I looked directly at Ben. He stood near the gift table, a smug, self-satisfied look on his face. He thought I spoke of him kindly. "My first gift," I said, voice ringing with false cheer, "is a heartfelt congratulations to the real father." I turned, raised my glass, and looked directly at Ben. "Congratulations, Ben," I said, smile unwavering. "I truly wish you and Qley all the best in your future together." A confused murmur rippled through the crowd. Ben's face changed from smug to baffled. Qley's smile froze, then vanished, replaced by pure white-hot panic. "But I wasn't finished, and my second gift," I said, voice turning cold, "is for you, Qley." I reached inside my jacket and pulled out a crisp white sealed envelope. I walked to her, footsteps echoing in stunned silence. She stared at me, eyes wide with terror, as if realizing the ground beneath her was a trap door. I handed her the envelope. "This," I said, voice quiet and conversational for all to hear, "is a notarized copy of the medical report from my vasectomy last year. I thought you might need it for your records and the birth certificate." I then turned back to the horrified, speechless guests. I raised my champagne glass one last time. "To honesty," I said, "and to family." I took a sip, placed the glass gently on a nearby table, and walked out of the party. The silence behind me was absolute. It was the sound of a perfectly executed demolition. Final update. It's been 6 months since my toast at the baby shower from hell. I didn't stay for the fireworks. I simply got in my car and drove away, leaving a crater in Qley's picture-perfect life. The story of what happened next came in fragments from mutual friends and acquaintances who witnessed the explosion. Apparently, the moment I left, chaos erupted. The stunned silence broke with Qley's mother demanding to know what was in the envelope. Qley, sobbing and hysterical, refused to open it. So her father took it and read the doctor's report aloud. All eyes then turned to Ben. Trapped, cornered, and facing Qley's furious family, he crumbled. He admitted everything. The affair, the lie, the plan. The baby shower immediately turned into a screaming match between Qley's father and Ben. Meanwhile, Qley sat catatonic amid a mountain of baby gifts that were no longer hers. The aftermath was swift and total devastation of the life Qley had tried to build. Her engagement was over. Friends who attended the party were horrified, and her deception spread like wildfire. She became a social pariah overnight. Her family, once her biggest enablers, were humiliated and furious. They hadn't just been lied to, they were made to look like fools in front of their social circle. They are supporting her financially through the pregnancy, but their relationship is strained to the breaking point. They feel betrayed not just by her, but by the perfect daughter they thought they had. Ben, the supportive work bestie, now faces 18 years of child support. Their affair, once a fun secret, didn't survive the harsh light of public exposure and responsibility. I'm told they are no longer together. He is legally and financially responsible, but wants nothing to do with her personally. As for me, the first thing I did was get a lawyer to ensure I was legally firewalled from the whole situation. We sent Qley a formal letter stating that while I wished no ill will to the child, I was not and never had been the father and would seek legal action for fraud and emotional distress if she claimed otherwise. She never responded. The house hunt ended. I'm still in my apartment, never more grateful for its tiny size. The money I was pressured to save for a down payment is now a travel fund. I'm planning a long trip to Southeast Asia next year. I eventually dealt with the mountain of baby gifts delivered before the shower. I boxed everything, the crib, stroller, tiny clothes, and in a final karmic act, donated them all to a local shelter for single mothers. Looking back, my revenge wasn't the toast itself. The toast was just the reveal. The real revenge was the 7 months I spent playing along. I let her build her lie into a towering monument. I let her invest her hopes, dreams, and reputation into it. I just stood back and provided the rope. She built her own gallows, and in the end, all I did was gently kick the chair out from under her. She tried to trap me in a life I didn't choose with a child that wasn't mine. But she underestimated me. She thought I was simple. She thought I was clueless. She never realized sometimes the quietest man in the room is the one paying the most attention.